Hello everyone and welcome to Metagame Mastery, where it's not just about what the card does, but how it impacts the game. Where the Spark preview season is in full swing, and we are looking at the best cards from the last 2 days of previews. If you enjoy this content, click that like button, and be sure you subscribe so you get access to all our latest videos. Without further ado, big time! Go time! Let's go! Tulsimer, Friend to Elves, is 5 CMC, 2 colorless, 2 green, and a white. For a 3/3 legendary elf scout, when he enters the battlefield, create Voja, Friend to Elves, a legendary 3/3 green and white wolf creature token. Whenever a wolf enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 3 life, and that creature fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. So in limited, this thing is sick. You're paying 5 mana for 6 power and 6 toughness across 2 bodies. You're gaining 3 life. It's a limited form of removal, but still removal on top of everything. And it's going to play well with the new Arlen Chord. If there's going to be some sort of wolf tribal sub theme in the set, I don't know, but it's definitely very exciting. I like this card a lot. Grateful Apparition is 2 CMC, 1 colorless, and white for a 1/1 spirit with flying. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, proliferate. I like that this is basically a color shifted Thumbing Bird with the addition that it triggers when it hits a planeswalker. This is going to be very powerful, getting you not only repeated proliferate triggers in limited, but also consistently getting damage through in the early game and keeping your opponent's planeswalkers under control. Rescuer Sphinx is 4 CMC, 2 colorless, and 2 blue for a 3/2 Sphinx with flying. As it enters the battlefield, you may return a non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. If you do, it gets a +1/+1 counter. This thing is sick and limited because you will almost always trigger that ability, making it a 4/3 flyer for 4. That's going to push a lot of damage. It's going to kill a lot of planeswalkers. And you could target, say, a planeswalker that you've already depleted most of the loyalty on, put it back in your hand, and then cast it again so you could do its abilities all over again. You're going to get so much value out of this card, it's ridiculous. Role Reversal is 3 CMC, 2 blue, and a red for a sorcery. Exchange control of 2 target permanents that share a permanent type. So this is awesome. Just take your worst planeswalker and exchange it for your opponent's best planeswalker. Take one that's depleted in loyalty, exchange it for a fresh one. Take your worst creature, exchange it for their best creature. I mean, there's so many ways that you can take advantage of this card and have huge board swings. This is removal times 2. Stealth Mission is 3 CMC, 2 colorless, and a blue for a sorcery. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. That creature can't be blocked this turn. So this is a fairly expensive combat trick, but in this format, it's especially good. Not only does it play with +1/+1 counter synergies, but on top of that, unblockable is effectively planeswalker removal. This is going to be a great card in limited. 10th District Legionnaire is 2 CMC, red and a white for a 2/2 human soldier with haste. Whenever you cast a spell that targets this creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it and scry one. Okay, this is great value. You're getting a bear with upside because you're going to get 2/2 for 2 with haste, and whenever you play combat tricks, it gets an additional +1/+1 counter, getting great value and virtual card advantage. This is really going to push the damage in limited. Merfolk Skydiver is 2 CMC, a green and a blue for a 1/1 Merfolk mutant with flying. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. And you can pay 3 colorless, a green or blue to proliferate whenever you want. Wow, this card's really good. This is going to allow you to put a +1/+1 counter on itself, making it a 2/2 with flying, 4/2, No downside. That's just straight amazing value. On top of that, late game, you could continuously pump mana into this in order to pump up your planeswalkers, increase its own power and toughness. You can get so much value out of this, it's ridiculous. Mayhem Devil is 3 CMC, 1 colorless and black for 3/3 Devil. Whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, it deals 1 damage to any target. This card's amazing. In limited, it's a 3/3 for 3 with possible direct damage. That's awesome. But in EDH specifically, everyone is running sack outlets. So many combos are built around sack outlets. And on top of that, aristocrat style strategies are very popular with Teysa or Marin of the clan Neltoth. This is a great way for you to punish your opponents, discourage combos. It can even power up Proj decks. So good on so many levels. Pollen Bright Druid is 2 CMC, 1 colorless, and a green for a 1/1 Elf Druid. When it enters the battlefield, choose one. Either put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or proliferate. So early game, worst case scenario, you're getting a 2/2 for 2. That's fair, that's solid. But late game, you can instead choose to proliferate, pump up your planeswalkers, increase the +1/+1 counters on everything else. So the modal aspect of this makes it extremely more versatile in limited. On top of that, first of all, we're getting proliferate in green, which is fantastic. Second of all, being able to proliferate for only 2 mana is great value. This is abusable. You can flicker it, you can recur it from your graveyard. This will get nuts real fast. Bloom Hulk is 4 CMC, 3 colorless, and a green for a 4/4 plant elemental. When it enters the battlefield, proliferate. So this doesn't have the same economy that the last card did, but it's much better in limited because you're getting a 4/4 for 4, no downside, and you get to proliferate, increasing the counters that you have across the board. Great value. Neoform is 2 CMC, a green and a blue for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the sacrificed creature's converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it, then search or shuffle your library. So we're seeing creature tutor with upside for only 2 mana. This is amazing and limited. That should go without saying. Even if you're just birthing pot once with a +1/+1 counter, it's going to get you extreme value. This will also see play in standard. If not in the current meta, then very, very soon. This is an amazing card. Mobilized District is a land that you could tap for a colorless, or you could pay 4 and it becomes a 3/3 citizen creature with vigilance until end of turn. It's still a land, and this ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature and planeswalker you control. So this is an amazing man land. You can effectively activate this for free once you get enough legends or planeswalkers on the board, which is possible and limited, but in EDH specifically, you're going to be able to do this all day long. On top of that, it has vigilance, so it can attack in for 3, and you can either activate it again on your opponent's turn as a surprise blocker, or you can still tap it for mana. This is an amazing card, especially with some of the other cards we've seen, like the Nissa that was leaked, or this next preview card. Tomek Distinguished Advocate is 2 white mana for a 2/3 legendary human advisor with flying, and lands on the battlefield and lands in graveyards can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. Your opponents can't play land cards from their graveyards either. This card is so pushed. You're getting a 2/3 flyer for 2, and in a format where the direct damage you deal can really punish opponent's planeswalkers, this guy is going to do some serious work. On top of that, he gives hexproof to all the lands you have in play and uh, all the lands you have in your graveyard, allowing you to get really nuts with land effects. This guy's really pushing man lands, and this isn't the only card that we're seeing doing it in this set. And it also really helps with the Awaken mechanic from Battle for Zendikar. So, for fans of the Noyen Dar EDH deck, which is very niche, you just got a huge boost. Massacre Girl is 5 CMC, 3 colorless, and 2 black for a 4/4 legendary human assassin with menace. When she enters the battlefield, each other creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Whenever a creature dies this turn, each creature other than Massacre Girl gets plus or -1/-1 until end of turn. This thing is sick. Just absolutely sick. I mean, you're getting a 4/4 with Menace for 5 mana, which is pretty solid in and of itself. But she's going to be a limited board wipe, and on top of that, if you're playing any sort of aristocrat style build, then she's going to rack up the kills very, very quickly. Not only will she wipe out the small creatures, but then when that happens, she does another -1/-1, and then when those creatures die, she does another -1, and it just really snowballs. This card is going to be absolutely nuts in Limited. It's going to be absolutely nuts in EDH. Marin of the Clan Neltoth, Teysa, they love this card already. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this content, click that subscribe button so you get access to all our latest videos. This has been Metagame Mastery. Peace!